Reza from Bank Islam as well. I'm going to ask a different question. So when we're talking about exports, right? And you mentioned SMEs feeling the pain, but are we also looking at imports, trying to reduce the imports so that the cost can be controlled a bit?
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yes. Yeah. Okay. So our trade numbers today is what 3+ trillion, 3.9 trillion ringgit. So we still have a trade surplus for now. That means we export more than we import. What do we export? 80% of our export is manufacturing, 20% is commodities. So and of the 80% of export or manufacturing, half of it is actually E&E. That means 40% of our total exports. So total exports to US today, close to 60% of our total export. Now we export to US about 200 billion ringgit. So close to 60% of that 200 billion ringgit is E&E, right? We look at our imports. Where is our import coming from? So our import coming from mainly, again, E&E. The reason why our trade deficit has reduced because of higher import from E&E. That means our companies that are producing, but also multinationals who are based here, have increased their import because we are moving up the value add chain. From a simple test and assembly, they're moving to advanced packaging. And we're seeing that, and therefore the import numbers are coming up. That's why we're seeing trade deficit going down. And then when you look at export of 60%, half of it is actually semiconductor, which is 30%, which is exempted for now. So the import, number one, is actually E&E, right? So if you ask us, then definitely they will be impacted because the imports coming from US, and US will then have incurred those higher costs, then will then impact us. So the other imports are basically, some of it are commodities related, banyak kita lah, food, because we are not so sufficient in many food items. So there's always been talk about how do we be more self-reliant on some of this. So yes, the answer to your question is we will work with the relevant ministries again. We can just show the numbers to my colleagues and say, look, this sector, can you please look at developing so that we can reduce the import bill, right? But at the same time, there's some are not easily substituted, right? Many of economists in this room are trained that it doesn't work, right? To a certain extent, but in today's world, maybe we have to think of something, but it does lead to higher costs and less competitiveness. So we will have to look at certain sectors that we need to strengthen so that our import bill goes down, and also our security of supply. Because now, what we have discussed, we are going to announce a national supply chain council. At least we understand what are we importing, through the value chain and through the supply chain. Together with industry. So I think idea actually, to be fair, came from the industry. FMM came with it, and then another team came with it. A few companies now come with it, and this is an opportunity for us to also understand the supply chain. So now the Majlis Peraturan Negara or National Investment Council has approved for us to set up this system to understand very clearly semiconductor, what is the supply chain, pharmaceutical, what's the supply chain, all the way to food, etc. Then from there we will work towards reducing inefficiencies and also getting the right players in the market.